Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Lim Reviews. In today's video, we'll be checking out two very different smartwatches. So on the left, we have the TicWatch Pro 4G, and on the right, we actually have my favorite Amazfit T-Rex. Now both these watches are very different because one runs on Android Wear, whereas the other has just its standard OS. So the difference here is that on Android Wear OS, obviously you can download and install all kinds of applications into the watch itself, whereas for the Amazfit T-Rex, you can't install applications, everything just comes with the watch itself. So to put it very simply, the TicWatch Pro actually works more like a tiny smartphone that sits on your wrist, and the fact that it has 4G all the more makes it more similar to a smartphone. On the other hand, the Amazfit T-Rex is actually more similar to like a smart band. So I wouldn't really call it a smart band because a smart band has just a very small display. I would say that this display here is actually pretty good. We have a pretty large display here, and this is still, I would say, qualify as a smartwatch. Although, like I said, you can't make phone calls with it, you can't install songs, and everything just comes as it is. So the main use for both watches is actually to track your fitness, but the TicWatch actually is able to do a bit more because, like I mentioned, it's like a mini smartphone. Alright, so let me just show you the TicWatch first very quickly. Alright, so if you look at the TicWatch right off the bat, you'll notice that it has this very special display. So at the top here, we have this low-powered LCD display, but once you hit the button, you notice that you actually have another AMOLED display sitting right below. So the good news here is that you have this low-powered LCD that tells you all kinds of information, notifications as well. Even when you're running, it will change the display to show how many kilometers you're running, your pace and all that. So it's very good because we have this very cool low-powered LCD display. But the thing is that the downside here is that you get an AMOLED display that looks a bit more like an LCD display because the viewing angles are really bad. And one thing that I don't really like about this display is that it just keeps going off after 3 seconds. So let's say you have like a really cool watch face that you just want to admire. The sad news here is that you can't look at it for too long because it'll just jump back to the LCD display. Alright, so let me just show you guys this watch very quickly. Once you go into the watch itself, swiping down from the top, you'll get your quick access. So this is very similar to how you use a smartphone as well. If you pull up from the bottom, you actually get a couple of notifications here. And so I don't have many notifications right now, but it's pretty good because it shows a lot of information just from the watch itself. If there are images in the notifications, you're actually able to like tap it and actually take a look. So swiping from the left, here you get a couple of Google notifications. Obviously here I have the weather, and you can also have this Google Assistant installed. So this watch comes with a mic and a speaker. So that's really good because you can just ask the assistant all kinds of weird stuff. For example, what's the time now in LA? So there you have it. It's actually pretty good and it recognizes my voice very well, even if I'm not speaking like perfect English. Alright, so swiping from the right, here you actually get a couple of widgets, they call it tiles, and you actually have like 4 tiles here. So that's the maximum that you can have on the TicWatch Pro. Obviously you can customize these tiles, but here I have my basic info. When I swipe to the right, here I have my weather, information, and if I just keep going, I have my heart rate as well as the news. So like I mentioned just now, if there is an image, you can actually load that up, and here you have a very handsome picture of Donald Trump. So Trump is obviously still talking about the coronavirus, but yeah. So there you have it. That's what you get by swiping up, down, left and right. So on to the Amazfit T-Rex. We've not forgotten about this guy. Alright, so before I talk about how we operate the Amazfit T-Rex, let me just take a moment to appreciate how good this display is. The Amazfit T-Rex has a really good AMOLED display, and if you put both smartwatches side by side, you can know what I mean by that. So if you just look at the viewing angles, obviously the levels of contrast is like way better on the Amazfit T-Rex, and I really love this display right here. So although this has a low powered LCD display up here that shows information, we're not missing out a lot because we also have the always on display on the Amazfit T-Rex, and it actually works pretty well. Alright, so for the Amazfit T-Rex, it's a bit different. So obviously when you pull down, once again you have these quick shortcuts, and like I think these are very straightforward. You already know this. If you swipe down from the bottom, you actually get your widgets here. So this is where you get your widgets, and you can also customize the type of widgets that goes first, second, third, and so forth. So these are all customizable via the Amazfit app. Swiping from the left, let me see what do we have here. This is where you get your notifications, where now I don't have notifications, so let's just forget about that right now. And if you swipe to the right, sorry about that slight delay, here is where you get your list of applications. So obviously, like I mentioned just now, you can't install additional apps, so you only get the stock apps that comes with the watch itself. Alright, so now that we know how both these smartwatches operate, let me show you a bit more on the TicWatch. So if you just hit this button right here, this is where you actually get into the full menu, and like I said, you can install so many apps. It kind of got a bit confusing for me because it was really like difficult to just look for an app. You have to really scroll through this long list, but once you get like something really there, for example, let's say Telegram. So I use Telegram once in a while, and you can actually reply to messages directly off the watch itself. So you can't do that with the Amazfit T-Rex. You can only do that with this TicWatch Pro. So for instance, if I want to reply to Chloe, my friend right here, I can always say like, "Hello, good morning." And there you go. It's fairly easy. Let me just send that. It's 3:55 a.m. Chloe is going to be mad. Alright, so you can also choose to type on this very tiny keyboard over here. So let's say, let me ask just a very stupid question. So that's probably the speed that I can get the fastest, and let me just send that over. And there you go. So I actually have the chat history here. So this synchronizes with the application on your smartphone, so you get all the chats here. And I think that's pretty cool. Once again, you can't do that on the Amazfit T-Rex. Alright, so this is just one of the more useful apps. Obviously, like I said, you can download stuff like maybe even Spotify, and you can actually put songs in this watch. It comes with internal memory. I think it's like 4 GB of internal memory. So you can just put some songs in here, and you can just play directly off the watch itself. So you can either do that or connect a pair of Bluetooth earphones to this watch and actually just like go on your runs without your smartphone. So that's pretty useful. So unfortunately, you can't do that with the Amazfit T-Rex, but what we do have here, however, is a music controller. So you can't play music here, but you do get music controllers. So if you just go really quickly into the app list, you can actually find the music controllers. Alright, so here you can see if I have a song already playing, this is where I can control the song. I can hit pause, play, just go next, and also adjust the volume right here. So it's all pretty straightforward. You can just tap that. So there's a slight delay, but yeah, it just works actually. So you can't play music off the watch, but you do have music controls. I think that's pretty alright. So alright, so in terms of functionality, you're probably aware now of what both smartwatches can do. But in terms of fitness, alright, so the fitness wise, we do have like a couple of things here. So you have your outdoor runs. It tracks your runs obviously, your walks, your indoor runs, as well as your cycling and freestyle and swimming. So these are just a very standard set of activities that it tracks, and I would say it is very similar to the ones on the Amazfit T-Rex. So obviously the Amazfit T-Rex actually like separate the activities out into more. So we have this outdoor running, indoor running, all kinds of swimming, just all kinds of skiing, even like hiking, but it's actually just like walking if you just ask me. Anyways, yeah, so that's what you get with the Amazfit T-Rex. I would say tracking your activities wise, both smartwatches actually do a pretty good job. They have proper GPS units in both these guys, and they do track the location very accurately. Apart from that, your heart rate is also being tracked very well. So one thing that the TicWatch doesn't do is it doesn't track your sleep. The Amazfit T-Rex actually tracks my sleep, and it does it pretty accurate. Obviously, it is not as accurate as the Mi watch, like I mentioned before, but it does the job pretty well compared to this guy, which doesn't do it at all. So that's another difference. Alright, so last but not least, let's talk about one very important feature about smartwatches, and that is the battery life. So on the TicWatch Pro, what we're getting here is just slightly more than 1 day of battery life. I've used this for almost a month right now, and that is the max that I can get. Occasionally I am able to push it to 2 days if I get very little notifications, but it's just pretty much a 1.5 day kind of smartwatch. On the other hand, the Amazfit T-Rex gives me way more battery life. It gives me about 2 weeks if I don't turn on that always on display, but if I turn it on, it gives me about 1 week of battery life. Alright, so at the end of the day, if you're really like wondering whether you should get a Wear OS watch or just the Amazfit watch, I think the question is more like, what are you looking for in the smartwatch? Are you looking for like a ton of features? Do you want like a mini smartphone on your wrist? If that's the answer, then you can probably go for the TicWatch or just another Wear OS based watch. So FYI, these Android Wear OS watches don't really come that cheap. This particular watch itself is close to $300 US, and this is just half the price. So this is just $140 US. But what this Amazfit T-Rex does is it gives you a lot of your fitness tracking, it gives you your notifications, a couple of music controls. It's just a very basic smartwatch that comes in a very nice build and design. Alright guys, so which would you prefer? Would you choose the TicWatch Pro or will you go with something like the Amazfit T-Rex? Let me know down in the comment section below and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!